G'day Battlers and welcome to the G'day Battlers podcast, episode 40. We've hit double digits again for the 30th time, I guess. I don't Woo! Big celebrations all around, and we've got a lot to celebrate today because not only, it's been 2 weeks-ish, so obviously a lot has gone on in the last 2 weeks. We're approaching this end part of the season. To be honest, by the time this episode comes out, it might even be, we might even have info of the next. But for now, today, we are going to be recapping the Puerto Rico Special Championship, EUIC, where we had a few Aussies go over there to pick up some championship points and all else going on as well. But now that we're sufficiently into the podcast, and you guys are probably all wondering, who even are these guys? I mean, I didn't get I'm PvP Steve and this is Debbie Pebble. I don't know who I'm listening to, but anyway, I'm PvP Steve and this is Debbie Pebble. Hi.
Hi. Do we still do the long g'days for the intros anymore? I don't even remember the last time we've actually done one.
Do you mean are you saying we as in this podcast or we as in my YouTube videos? Because if we recall, the G'day Battlers moniker was taken from somewhere.
Yeah. So let's for you for the podcast.
I see.
Do we need to is it paid content? Is it
Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. To be honest with you, the main reason why I started not doing it in YouTube videos, it wasn't entirely intentional, but it sort of happened, is that I was trying to cut down on the intro length because, on YouTube, the most important thing is that people sort of watch a big chunk of your video. Yeah. And if you spend 10 seconds without saying any single word of value, then more people are going to click off. So I was like, all right, let's get into this puppy.
Yeah.
But, we'll get there eventually.
I understand. I definitely have clicked away at not your videos, but
wow,
certain videos.
Exposed. Yikes!
Is my nose growing?
Tut. But I'm sure we'll get there one day. I mean, I know there were sort of requests for G'day Battlers merch, back in the day, years before the podcast, with lots of A's and whatnot. I never got around to it, and now is it even relevant? I don't know. All questions, many questions that we will be answering today. Probably not that one, but regardless,
you can still make merch on that.
All right, we'll see. Regardless, we do have a few things to go over today. So I think we'll best jump straight into it and start talking about the San Juan Special Championship, which is sort of colloquially known as the Puerto Rico Special Championship. Everyone just calls it Puerto Rico as opposed to anything else. Yes. I guess just because it's a bit small. But
but anyway, were there for this event?
21 play. Well, okay, here's the thing.
Wait.
On Dracoviz, it says 21 players registered. Mm-hmm. However, when you then open up the bracket, there are quite a few -1 no-shows in the bracket. Yep. So I feel like I sort of did a rough count at some point, and it looked more like 14 to me.
So can we officially say Perth is not the smallest regional?
Yeah, we can actually lock it in. Hey! Perth is no longer the small guy.
Podcast over. All right, we can wrap this up. Okay.
That's all. Debbie, last season they had 5 people. They literally had 5. You could have quit this podcast a year ago. But anyway, yeah, it's a bit of a small one. So some easy guaranteed top 16s running around, I suppose. But it did mean that it wasn't a stacked tournament because it was sort of the easiest tournament of all time to win. A lot of really good battlers ended up making the trek out there. So there were people like Arceus Aurelius, Out of Pocket, Blepnir. This wasn't an easy tournament to win at the very least. But, it's just easy in the sense of you didn't have to beat as many opponents to get to the finish line.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised there was a Japanese player that went all the way to Puerto Rico. But I suppose if it's such a small regional, better chance of them winning it all. So yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, the odds are in your favor, I suppose, if there's less in the pool. But yeah, like I said, just a lot of very good players.
Yeah, as we've talked about before, it is definitely really tough for the players from the Asian region to actually qualify for Worlds when they actually just got announced. I don't know if we'll go over it today. I actually forgot about it when I was writing up the notes. But in the last 24 hours, they did announce the sort of tournaments for Asia. And I think India in particular has 2 weeks to prepare. So they have been given the Brisbane 2023 treatment in being told, like, hey, your tournament is in 2 weeks. Prep up, gamers, because this is your one and only shot all season. So,
and Bran, it'll be into the new season as well. So meta shifts and everything.
yep, it'll be
Yeah.
very fresh. So, shout out to the Asian guys. We might go into more details in the next episode, perhaps. But essentially, they do often only have that one chance to qualify. And so, by sort of traveling out to these other tournaments, they have a bit of a shot. The sad thing, and it's a sad thing that's repeated in both this tournament and in Perth, is that if you don't come first, you get no championship points, so you're ineligible for the championship point system. And because this one was a special championship, there's not even like prize money or anything. So this guy, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, but CAG MPWTPD from Japan went all the way. They fought their way through. They got all the way to the losers finals and got knocked out at second place, which I'm pretty like they essentially go home empty-handed in a sense.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate when you sort of make it that deep.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a short trip from Japan to Puerto Rico, assuming they're coming from Japan. But yeah, it's but good on them. Good on them. Like I think it's you take that risk, right? I think if you're from Asia and you just kind of like, well, it's either all or nothing. That's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, got very close.
Yeah. I just said grand finals, not losers finals. But yeah, in the end, it's a small one, so we won't talk about it much. But Out of Pocket ended up winning the entire thing, didn't lose a single set, fought their way through the winners bracket, defeated Arceus Aurelius in the winners finals, and then was able to defeat CAG in the grand finals. No bracket reset at all, with a team of Wigglytuff, Shadow Marowak, Dugong, Shadow Drapion, Corsola, Galarian Forum, and Shadow Annihilate, which was Wigglytuff's first win of the season. So congrats, Debbie.
Thank you. I'm glad my influence has finally got out there.
Yep. I think I remember hearing Out of Pocket say specifically, I was like, oh, my inspiration was Debbie Pebble in bringing Wigglytuff onto my team. So shout out to you. But yeah, look, he's qualified for Worlds. He was going to qualify anyway. He was last year's NAIC champ. Hadn't gotten a guaranteed invite this time yet, but he's solid in. He was going to have enough points regardless. And to be honest with you, the only sort of Pokemon of note in the top 8, other than the Wigglytuff, was another Zapdos showing up in 4th place. So otherwise, it's all pretty meta. There isn't a Dracoviz update in terms of what everyone else is running. So we only have the teams from the top 8 at this stage. And so kind of just is what it is. And, congrats Out of Pocket is kind of the end of the game.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So I guess following up with the smallest Play Pokemon tournament of the season, it goes into the biggest Play Pokemon Go tournament of all time. And you have to throw the sort of championship series descriptor on there. You need to specify that it's the official circuit, because there was that one Sylph tournament back in the day that was even bigger. So technically not the biggest Pokemon Go tournament of all time, regardless of them saying so on the broadcast.
Wait. So go back to Sylph. How big was that tournament?
It was like 448 or something.
Oh,
Like
okay,
it was.
all right. So yeah.
So like we're creeping closer. We are. I guess EUIC was capped by the player cap. If the player cap was higher, it could have grabbed the title of the biggest Pokemon Go tournament of all time. But not ambitious enough, I guess.
Well, maybe next year. It seems like the cap keeps rising every year. So yeah, if the trajectory is that way, then yeah, possibly.
Well, we'll see if the venues are big enough to, hold that many players, I suppose, because the other games are growing a lot faster than Go is as well. Yeah. So,
don't they have a existing contract currently at the Excel Center? Excel.
Is that a thing that we should know?
No. That's just a curiosity thing. I thought that was like, because they have had it there for the last couple of years, haven't they?
I think that it's just the obvious choice, in the sense of like whenever they held a Melbourne regional, it's always in the same venue because it is the biggest convention. I mean, it's the biggest convention hall in the country. So it's sort of like, where else would you go? Is sort of, I think maybe they do, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't.
But makes sense.
I'm sure they sort of adjust year to year, whatever they actually need. But regardless, it was a 400 player cap, and it was one of these shenanigans where, you know, they did let a few people sort of drop out and then reopen the invites. So some of the problems in the past have been like a tournament caps out and then players don't show up. And then it's just like, well, you know, we've just burned those player numbers. Like people would have loved to take those spots. And this has happened in the past for ICs as well. And it's like, well, now you're just blocking other people from playing. But they did like happy days a little bit. There were obviously some no-shows, but they at least opened up some invites back to the pool, which helped one particular Australian. So
yes.
No need to dive into that one. But regardless, we essentially had 3 battlers representing the Oceanic region. They all had the travel award to go over to EUIC. And so obviously we were all cheering them on. Some of them, well, some of us had to cheer them on from our sleep because we went to bed before it all wrapped up because, you know, we've got bedtimes of grandparents at this point. But we essentially had
nothing wrong with that, Steve.
I don't know. Yeah, but we had Ric Flair and Avrip and Jins making the big trek over to Europe.
No, I was going to say the WA crew was pretty much up until like midnight. So good old time zones that helped.
Yeah, not too bad on the Perth end. But, you know, I was able to stay up for one important part, and that was our one and only sort of Australian getting onto the stream, Ric Flairion, making his EUIC stream debut. Yeah. And, you know, we watched him get a win. So shout out. Go Australia. Woo! Ric Flairion hype.
I'm very excited. I think he was like the 3rd on stream, which is, again, not a lot of Australians get on stream because we don't have official streams, and it's kind of cool to see like Rick play. I may have invested a lot of channel points when he played on stream. So on Twitch, if you watch a certain amount of time, you get channel points in the corner, and they really don't mean anything. However, in when they have play Pokemon tournaments on, they have a like what do you call it, predictor. Who do you think will win the match? And you can use your channel points to place a bet. And I went all in. I had at that point 46,000 channel points from the Pokemon Go Twitch channel, and yeah, I was a bit worried after the first set. Let's put it that way. But I was prepared. I was like, okay, it's like let's just see how it goes. And yeah, it was obviously paid off. Spoiler alert, but. The funniest thing for me was when it came up with the pop-up saying like how many people got their channel points back and just my name in the top, like glaringly obvious, and said how much I actually put in. I was like, oh.
Just a big Ric Flairion supporter.
I was like, I thought that was anonymous. I didn't think that would show.
Alas, you've been called out. If the Flairion pin at Perth 2024 wasn't enough. Did you have that again at 2025 Perth?
No,
Yeah,
I did go up to Rick afterwards and be like, sorry, you didn't win Perth this year. Didn't wear the pin. My bad. And he's like, oh, it wasn't because I played badly. I'm like, nah, not at all.
No. All Debbie Pebble's fault. We can are happy to run with that moniker for sure. So outside of the Oceanic Spotlight that they always sort of do, you know, they spotlight a couple of trainers from every region where they can, which in this and most cases is just all of the Oceanic battlers that are there. It's just like we literally cannot pick no one else. You guys are
players to watch. Our 3 players only.
That's all we've got. But outside of that, we didn't get any Oceanic representation, and they sort of mostly played off stream, I suppose. But they, all 3 of them did manage to get into the championship points. So Adam finished up in 65th, which, you know, top 128 in this tournament of 400 people got championship points. So Adam picked up champion points in 65th with the Morpeko. Jins got some championship points in top 64 at, you know, equal 49th. who was running that jump off. And then Rick Flareon sort of fought his way through just one battle short of making it to day 2 and came equal 33rd with, of course, the Wigglytuff as well. So congrats again to Debbie Pebble.
Thank you. I do my best.
Yeah. We'll talk about this a little bit later in the Australian locals, but actually, we'll save it. We'll save it. There's some more Ric Flair on Wigglytuff lore. So, stay tuned for now.
Okay,
But
all right.
so while we didn't get any Australians into day 2 of EUIC, still, all 3 of them, because they got championship points, sort of locked in, secured the NAIC Travel Award as well. So it's very much what we were talking about when the whole system was announced, in that sort of rich get richer vibe. But, here's what it is. They're, willing to travel, and off they go.
And they didn't choke. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, that is also an important factor. Like, if you go 0-2, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, the gravy train might stop. But they were all able to get to championship points, so all worked out okay on that front. And I was originally, I think we were going to finish talking about the EUIC before we talked about NAIC Travel Award, but just because I mentioned it, just mention here that They Love Jai is the 4th Oceanic player who will be clinching that Travel Award for NAIC as well. So looking forward to seeing him make the trek outbounds to see how he goes in June.
We have also requested him to change his name on the leaderboard.
Yeah. I still see that from time to time, and I'm like, that is letting that slide, huh?
Well, he put a ticket to support recently. Let's put it that way. Because we were like, you want to do something about that? And it's like, well, I haven't asked. I'm just like, well, let's just look. If you're getting travel award, or you might be getting travel award, let's just put a ticket in now. Let's just
fair enough.
Let's clean that up.
Look, for anyone that's not in the know, check the Oceanic leaderboard real quick. See who's hanging out around the top part. You'll recognize it. But anyway, with all that said, back to EUIC. So we didn't have any Australians into day number 2, but as always, there were a ton of really top battlers that really fought their way so deep into the tournament. And it's one of these things where it's like, you can just read off names and be like, any one of these battlers could have been the EUIC champion. Like I'm just gonna randomly, I'm looking at the graphic, I'm just gonna randomly dart my eyes around and read random names and tell me if any of these sound like they couldn't be a possible EUIC victor. We've got Tonton Batus, Emmy Weedle, Dunebug, Lurgan Rocket, Nighttime Clasher, Colin Six, Status Tan, and Adequance. Like any of these humans are cracked at the game. So it was really going to be a tough one, and it was sort of anyone's fight. Going through it.
Yeah. What's a name that you were, I suppose, like you've mentioned all these names that could have won it. What's a name that you didn't recognize on the graphic?
I mean, there's definitely some that I've sort of like recognized on the side. Like I've sort of seen it pop up in some challenge brackets and such. But there's a few that I didn't recognize. Like I can see X Mike isn't a name that I recognize, but it's able to get a top 32 also with that Morpeko. But I think a lot of these names have sort of popped up from time to time. Maybe like this is probably a few of their best performances of all time, but I think there's a lot of known quantities, I guess, making some appearances here.
I suppose for me, like the person that came 3rd, which I will butcher their name because I think everyone on the EUIC cast butchered his name. Quifhe, I'm gonna guess is how you pronounce it, but it's a name that I haven't heard before, and they played spectacularly because they were on stream quite a bit, and I was just like, oh wow, that's like I wasn't sure if he could do it like as in take it all the way because of how well he played. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. If it's like I wouldn't say a relatively unknown. I think in the flash tournaments and other things that he's like they were quite familiar with his name. But for myself to be like, I was like, oh, I personally don't recognize his name, and it was kind of cool to see him climb up the ladder against all the other juggernauts that you just named.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I think I might have only recognized his name because I didn't meet him in Gdansk back in November. I know that his name is I think it's the translation of Tintin. is the dealio. But it's a tough one to pronounce off read. That is for sure. But yeah, did do really well there and ended up with that third place finish, which I think he was probably getting the most attention in terms of someone really breaking through those ranks. And sort of making it all the way to the tippy top and running away with a trophy and a guaranteed World's invitation for Anaheim as well. But I think, look, if we focus in on the top 8 a little bit, and actually worth mentioning as well, Out of Pocket did carry on his Wigglytuff team and finished up in the top 16. So he was giving it a solid run. There was two Wigglytuff that made it into the top 8, one from Kazim and one from Inadequence. And I think that Inadequence's team is the one that is going to deserve the most G'day Battlers attention. And that's for one reason and one reason only. Actually, maybe I should say 2 reasons if we count Wigglytuff as a reason.
Do we have stickers available? Because I really want to send him a sticker, like a spy sticker. Like we should really have them. Anyway, it is the Shadow Palkia is if you haven't picked it up yet, is what he brought on his team, and I didn't even know it could be in Great League.
Debbie, it's the Shadow. We've all got that Shadow Palkia. Surely.
My game. Hold on.
Oh yeah, you better check. You might have gotten rid of it or never caught it or kept the rocket radar for something else or been like a level 15 Sandile and just sends it away.
Like my Sandy.
Yeah, but
I do have one. Yeah.
Okay, we're all good. So it was a little bit of an out of nowhere pick in many senses. It was the only one in the entire tournament. I know there was a bit of on broadcast shenanigans in that Inadequates messaged Amanda being like, "Hey, Amanda, who was casting the event, Lundberger, put Palkia on your caster predictions graphic." and so the whole weekend, as Inadequates did better and better and better, she was just like, I had that on my caster predictions. And then I remember Will, a Speediest Chief, at some point being like, "Amanda, we all know, chat all knows that you had some inside knowledge on that one. You didn't just pick Palkia." So that was
like, I got it.
Yeah. Who, me? This girl? But it was pretty funny. It was definitely a highlight of the broadcast for me. But the truth is, and I watched Inadequence's video. He published a video sort of talking about his tournament run and about bringing Palkia. I don't think that Palkia did him a lot of favors. I think that he would have been better off with a different Pokemon on his team. And it was very much, another Whalmer scenario of he was running 5 Pokemon plus Palkia. Now, he did bring Palkia a few times, but it did lose quite a few times that he did bring it. So it sort of showed up less and less and less as the tournament progressed. But, he did carry it with his 5 other Mons. And to be honest, the reason that he carried it is Inadequence's greatest skill and the reason that he performs so well all the time, in that Inadequence is the greatest mind reader in Pokemon Go PvP right now. He is just so good at predicting what the opponent is going to bring. When he talks about this in his video where he was like, "Look, this was going to be an RPS matchup. Either I land this on this or they land it on me and I lose or I win. Like it's just this is going to be decided on the team lock-in screen." And it feels like 100% of the time Inadequacy is just able to be like, "You're going to pick this, so I'll go this way," and it works out for him. It's kind of ridiculous, quite frankly. So he got out of a few sticky situations that another trainer rattled with Palkia might not do so well in.
Yeah, some people just have it. And whether it's something that he, 1, is a genius, 2, just has that background knowledge because of just how, I suppose, how much he's practiced over time, and just that tournament knowledge of, okay, in this pressure situation, it's game 3, they're probably going to bring this instead. Because I don't know about you, but when you're getting to that point, you're just like, oh, they're going to bring what they're bringing round 1, or they're going to bring what they're round 2. They're going to change it up. I don't know, but yeah, obviously he's got it.
Yeah, I don't think he ever says that with a question mark at the end. He's like, well, obviously, we. He'll just name 3 Pokemon, know what 3 Pokemon you've got, and it'll all work out fine for him. So, impressive though, and did make it all the way to the trophy, and
Mhm.
is probably the last person for a long time that is going to get a big tournament result with Palkia. Certainly the first. And I wouldn't be surprised. It's another Giratina scenario. He just picks these random mons and is able to get big wins with it, even if the mon isn't even carrying the games.
Mhm.
It's almost like, you know, an addict can just pick any Pokemon and he can get a big result with it. So hopefully he picks Wailmer next. That'd be
Well,
really cool.
I hope Wilma gets a buff next season. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we'll see. If you guys have already seen the move updates, cheer up if there's a Wailmer buff hidden in there. Fingers crossed. But yeah, big shout out to Inadequance. And of course, the sort of, I guess, big attention we should be throwing outside of Inadequance's Palkia is the grand finals, the grand finalists. The sort of constant grand finalist, one of my favorite, if not my favorite battler from Europe, Z's Wireless, who, well, to be honest, he faltered a little bit this time, Debbie, because usually you can count on Wireless for one thing, and that's him getting in the kitchen and cooking up something super spicy. He ran it a little bit hard meta this time, which is like, okay.
He went for a mild
Fine.
curry.
So mild. But alas, he got all the way to the grand finals with the Primeape, Talonflame, Galarian, Corsola, Azumarill, Chargebug, and Diggersby, which you can argue that Chargebug is a little bit spicy, I suppose, although it has been seeing a little bit of an uptick alongside the Corviknights that have entered the meta. But that's about as spicy
In the
as it
top 8,
gets.
was there any Corviknights?
No Corviknight this time in the top 8. So there was a few in the top 32.
Yeah. Well, I thought was interesting with EUIC champion Padoman, Duckman himself, Shadow Walrein.
Yeah.
When's the last time you bought a Walrein out? Because I'm thinking like 2022 season, so like in 2023-ish.
Yeah, it's one that, like, it's made a bit of a sideline showing in a few play Pokemon tournaments over the last year-ish, year and a half, maybe even 2 years. Because again, you're right, it was the 2022 season that it was sort of a big deal, and everyone was running Walrein in that sort of Walrein Trevenant meta, as we love to refer to it. But it wasn't like an obvious pick, because to be clear here, only one person in the top 32 of this tournament ran Walrein. It was Padoman. There's the Mega Junko did run it. He was the only other player in the top 96 that was running a Walrein, although he was also running Pachirisu. So
very good.
the only battler in the tournament to run Pachirisu. So I guess, he was going a little bit spicy regardless. And then there was only a third battler that was running it in the top 128 of the tournament. So it wasn't exactly an obvious meta read, but Padoman just ran it, and it just seemed to be doing so very well for him. I know it was a bit of a weak link for Inadequance, in that Inadequance went into this tournament. Again, he sort of talked about it in this video. A good video to watch if you haven't already, because it is good to sort of get those insights from someone who performs so well in such a major tournament. But he sort of went into this tournament a little bit weak to Dugong, and Walrein is almost just like a better Dugong in many ways, certainly against Inadequance's team. But I really am a Dugong fan, to be honest with you. Icicle Spear is just such a deadly move for so much of the meta. That's kind of like...
Can I just repeat that? Do you like Dugong fan or Walrein fan?
Walrein fan. Well, I'm a team Walrein for sure. Okay, it's pretty awesome. I mean, I did bring it to my first ever play Pokemon tournament back in Melbourne 22, but
pretty sure I did as well.
I don't know. It's got some good vibes to it. So it was definitely really cool to sort of see him, I guess, take his Wireless's role a little bit in bringing a Pokemon that's a little bit different, a little bit spicy, a little bit unexpected, and just perform so well with it. It was definitely cool to see from Padoman.
Yeah. No, it was just an interesting one. I don't think by the time I watched the games, maybe it was like a little bit late, but I didn't see a lot of it on stream. But it was just kind of cool, even if it's just bench pressure, because I'm just like, wow. It's like, what do I do with a Walrein? And a Shadow one at that as well. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, it's not one that many people prepared for going into the tournament. And to be honest, you could probably say pretty similar about Palkia. But, massive congrats to all of them. I mean, the top 4 all secured guaranteed invites. So I
Yeah,
don't know if Inadequance is going to be casting or playing at Worlds this year, but regardless, I mean, look, I'll be honest. Part of me sort of hopes that he's playing, not because I don't like his casting, just because I always love
now
watching him
we're gonna
play.
clip that.
Dang it! Stupid. I think Coolsville sucks. That's a Scooby-Doo 2 reference for you. Or, yeah, Scooby-Doo 2. So, all the Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed fans, rise up. Let it be known in the YouTube comments, but they'll get me. But yeah, I guess any other thoughts from you, Debbie, in terms of EUIC? Because to be honest with you, the meta, as much as there were a few standout picks, obviously the Warrain, obviously the Palkia, for the most part, it was pretty much the stock standard meta, and it really does, for me, highlight the like, okay, it's time to move on. Let's get a new meta update in here.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, yeah, the only thing I can think of, like, I know that you've talked about like Mons and like, you know, PvP and ness of it, but all I can think of is like EUIC just seems cool, and can we go next year?
Yeah. I mean, look, I was sort of partially hoping to go this year. Obviously, I blew a bunch of money on LAIC, the big trip there. So, fair enough. But
so this is a good time for
was
Debbie to plug Steve's Patreon so he can afford to go to next IC.
no.
Gotta do that.
Look, I would like to be there next year. So we'll see though. We will see what time doth bring, I suppose.
Yeah, it seems just pretty cool. Like, it just, like, from watching everything, just like production wise, and just like everyone just having a lot of fun. Obviously, there was the store. It's a mini Worlds, really. But it just seemed, I don't know. It just seemed really, like, I was very FOMO. Let's put it that way. I was like, oh man, I wish I was there. That would be cool. I was like staying up late and watching like the bracket and watching this. I'm like, oh, if I was just there watching the battles, that'd be cool as well. So yeah, it's okay. I'll wait till Worlds.
Yeah, true. Which is only like we're halfway between the worlds at the moment. It's 6 months still.
6 months in, 6 months out. So.
Less than 6 months until worlds, which is kind of crazy. So, if you haven't started looking at travel plans, maybe start looking at travel plans for those that have not yet. But yeah, essentially that's EUIC. Again, we've got our 4 Aussies that are going to be getting that travel award for NAIC over in June. But of course, we have 2 Australian tournaments between now and then to sort of, I guess, keep them busy in the meantime, regardless.
Yeah.
So I think, Brisbane's Rego is still very slowly climbing up. It's up to 38 now, but it'll keep climbing. I know there's a few more that haven't registered yet. So looking forward to seeing how that shakes out.
Yeah. So Brisbane is, from the the date of recording now, a month away.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very soon. So if you haven't regoed, or if you're thinking about it, maybe now's the time to, go ahead and jump onto the Arcane9 or the ESL website and have a look. But yeah, it's not far away now for the next regional, and then, as announced previously, Melbourne in May. So for the following regional, and that will be all within one travel award period. So for those that are listening that are potentially thinking about, getting on that leaderboard and getting up to the top 4, and hoping that the other 4 maybe like choke out. Now is the time to think of their demise.
Yeah. Hey, Debbie, have you ever prayed for someone's downfall?
Look, this is not the podcast to talk about that. Maybe
all right, of course.
Later.
I see. Noted. We are running under that assumption that the travel award system will remain, because technically we don't know. We don't even, we can guess, we can speculate, but we don't even know what this next travel award period is going to be for. We can speculate that it'll be for LAIC 2026, but for all we know, they could change up the order and all of a sudden EUIC might be the first IC, and it could just be an EUIC 26 travel award.
Surprise,
period,
so. OCIC.
Now that'd be a Christmas miracle. Let's keep those fingers crossed, shall we? But
wow, in-region travel award.
Let's go. The big $2,000 instead of the 3.5. Huge. We could hope one day, but
We can get a nice hotel.
Yeah, I did love all of the people talking about, or people that live in the UK talking about getting a limo with the travel award to attend to EUIC. I don't know if anyone went and did it. I didn't see any clips on Twitter or such, probably because it's a waste of money, but it would have been really funny. So,
Look, if we ever got travel award, it is happening.
yeah, that's
Limo, get a Mustang, like whatever.
we don't have to think about that too much.
No, we don't. But one can dream.
Yeah, we could dream, maybe.
If
but
anyone wants to start coaching me for the new season, let me know.
slide
Just
into
for the
those
memes,
DMs.
just for the meme value. That's it.
We'll see how the season unfolds, I guess. But of course, that sort of does bring us into the Australian part of the podcast, the sort of less global bit, where obviously, again, Brisbane coming up, but we have had a few locals. And Debbie, I believe you had some success in a local of your own.
Yay! Debbie's back playing locals.
Yeah, the grand. Was this the 2025 debut?
Yeah. Because I haven't played a local. For those that catching up on podcasts, I unfortunately had some vertigo in December, so I haven't been playing just because I can't do a lot of screen time. So it was my first local in 3 months, almost 3 months, and yeah, I really didn't have any expectations going in. I was kind of like, oh, I'm rusty as it should be okay. Well, Steve's real zoomed in, but
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
he just wanted to show off his side profile. looking chiseled, very nice.
Thanks.
So snatched. But anyway, so I went to game one, and I verse They Love Jai's brother, which was there to help out with numbers for the cup and challenge that was on that day. I wasn't there for the cup. I was at work, so I only played the challenge. And look, he had like a Snorlax. He had a Soul Rock. Yeah, there's a few other mons there that, I was like, oh, and then I looked at the team sheet. I'm like, oh, it's single moved. Okay, right. Okay, this is fine. So it was very GG's there. Next, I had Danger Hawk, which I've played before, and he's been practicing a lot. He's been playing a lot of like flash tournaments, and really in the Perth scene has been getting a lot of practice under his belt. So I expected him to do well. And he brought a team that was unfortunately a bit weak to Morpeko, which I brought. Just to clarify, the Pokemon I brought was there were a lot of things that Debbie liked. So there was like Wigglytuff, there was Alola Ninetales, there was Morpeko, and then the other three that carried, which was like Superior, Talonflame, and Gastrodon. So that was a very Debbie team. And yeah, surprisingly did well in that. So went 2-0 on that, and then shuffled to table one. Actually, no, I played Danger Hawk on table one. So I was like, I'm not usually in table one. I'm like, what's all this space happening here? And then eventually versus Z-Tub, but I was like, oh, okay, all right, this is the end of the run. This is good. Like, I did well today. Like, and played game one, and I was like, oh, I won game one. I'm like, cool. All right, I've got 2 more games to play. Like, like thinking that this will be a reverse sweep. I'm like, yep, okay, that's all right. Playing game 2, I in classic Debbie fashion, maybe a little bit of BMing might have happened.
And how'd that go?
Yeah, it was great. It was in my favor. Could have easily been not in my favor.
Yep.
And may have brave birded his Diggersby at the end. So it was funny.
For the record here, because Debbie showed me this battle, she went for the BM. So she went. She was went for the bad manners play. Went for a move that was maybe not the move that was necessary, and all of a sudden, it didn't KO. And all of a sudden, Debbie was in this position where, hang on, I think I've just thrown the game because I decided to be silly and not go for the guaranteed win. And hey, she managed to pull it out. She got lucky. is the bottom line. She had a win. That part wasn't luck. The luck wasn't getting the win. The luck was being able to throw the game away, not because of a misplay, because she wanted to just make fun of the man.
Look, style points, okay? Let's just call it that.
And she got lucky that it didn't end up costing the game.
It almost did.
Really close.
Look, if I over-tapped there, it would be gone.
Yeah, pretty funny though.
It was pretty funny. So then there's just that was the Swiss portion of it. And I sat at the top. It was like I was 3-0, and then everyone else was like 2-1 or 1-2 or 0-3. But unfortunately, there was 8 people, so therefore there was a top cut.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. So I had to verse Z-Tub again. And let's be honest, I was done by that point. Because once a silly Debbie comes out, there's no way of reining that back in.
Well known.
Yeah. I mean, if you guys have seen the streams, there's concentration Debbie, and then plays really well in GBL, and then silly Debbie comes out and it's like, ooh. I very much just locked it in, and I just kept laughing the entire time because I was still laughing at the last battle. That was 0-2 on my part. So I ended up being second, so I got 12 championship points. So
congrats.
That's three second places as a challenge. So now I'm on 36 points. So I just need to do one more challenge, and then I've pretty much maxed out, but done my challenge portion of it.
Your big bulk.
Yeah, and then it'll be cups. But you know how hard it is to get points in here in cups.
Yeah, that is certainly true. But congrats on the big climb. I look forward to seeing you on the Travel Award leaderboard very soon.
Thank you. Yep.
Now,
I may have not closed, but who knows what happens this season.
It's about to be huge. But yeah, I wasn't as fortunate as Debbie, or not as skilled as Debbie, in that I didn't get championship points, but I won in many other ways because I attended locals, and we mentioned this on the last podcast in that I sort of mentioned this upcoming local cup and challenge, drawn team sheets, mandatory. Be there, be square. And it showed up. Everyone stuck to the rules. Everyone drew their team sheets. One man, the one and only Bambos, actually painted his team sheet, which I thought was incredible. I thought that was just like a level of dedication that I could only dream of. So we won't go through, we won't spend a lot of time punishing the audio listeners for not seeing it on YouTube, but I will just quickly bring up this photo of the sort of the overall, which actually I can't find it. I've lost it on my end. What's okay, hang on. I can replace this picture.
Yep.
Please hold. Okay, this one. So this is the sort of group photo with everyone holding onto their team sheets. And I'll zoom in a second as well. But we did a bit of a gaffe where, and I can't remember who came up with this. Actually, I think, Debbie, you came up with the idea of sort of taking photos of each team sheet, posting it into the Discord with names removed, and have people guess whose team sheet was whose.
I'll take the credit, but I don't remember.
I kind of thought you mentioned it, but
maybe I did.
I don't know.
Memory loss.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's take the credit, and whoever I took credit from, feel free to complain in the comments below. But we sort of had everyone guessing in the Oceanic Discord about whose team sheet was whose. And can I just say, Rick Flareon, ridiculously talented. And I've got his team sheet up on screen at the moment, and it was just like, holy heck. The sheer talent of this man, not only being good at Pokemon Go PvP, but apparently a true artist as well.
My favorite drawing out of that one, you would think would be the Wigglytuff, but it's actually the Feraligatr of the surprise look.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so good. I don't know what to tell you. The Feraligatr really is what won me over as well. I think that the Feraligatr is what sort of brings it all together.
Face, to be honest, maybe the Quagsire. It's pretty good.
Yeah,
honestly, all of it's pretty good.
Yeah, it is all pretty good. Although, you know how many people wanted to give the man credit for his great artwork? How many people guessed that it was Ric Flairion's hand? I can tell you how many. Nobody. Nobody wanted to believe in Ric Flairion. Everyone was like, oh no, he probably sucks at art. He's too good at PvP. There's no chance that he could make something that good. Which, as we were watching all of the guesses flow in, it was pretty funny. They were giving all the credit to Jamothy over here, who drew his on the public transport on the way over. And it was, well, maybe not a Ric Flairion quality, to say the least.
I just didn't think that, Rick would say something like "your mum" in like one of the speech bubbles in like Jamothy's drawing.
Yeah, obviously, and the best ones have some commentary as well, because we were just trying to mimic Nauticals. And so, Nautical, obviously, for those that are sort of newer, is the kid who has sort of revolutionized drawing your team sheet, and is who we're all mimicking by doing this. Mm-hmm. And so he likes to write little comments all around his sheet, and so some of us try to do the same. So you can see Bamboss has painted one here, which just truly an incredible effort, including a Galarian Corsola that is white paint. You just can't see it on the white canvas.
Yeah, that was the first thing I saw when I saw the photo. So I'm just like, excuse me, acrylic on like canvas.
Yeah,
like someone's got proper paintbrushes and done this.
Yep. It was pretty sick. So definitely one of my favorite locals of all time, just because of that. However, I guess the other win that came out of this one, and I now sort of go enhance image, because most people, I'm super zoomed in now. Most people drew one team sheet for, either for both tournaments or because like they didn't have time. Rick put in so much effort to his, so it was like, well, I'm not going to draw two. But I was like, no, I'm drawing two. I want to do some more drawing time. And so the reason I'm bringing mine up is because, on the left, we have some illustrations. Obviously, we've got the Galarian Corsola, the Wigglytuff. That's clearly Shadow for Alligator on the left, Shadow Typhlosion on the right, Shadow Marowak, Tropius. And then the second team that is quite similar with Shadow Marowak, Shadow for Alligator, with a This Is Fine memeage. We've got a much better drawn Shadow Typhlosion, in my opinion. A Tropius, a Galarian Corsola. And the reason that I've brought all of this up, in the bottom right-hand corner, I've written, I used so much space for the other drawings that I guess I only have room to run Caterpie. And I attempted to draw Cowboy Hat Caterpie, but wasn't the greatest of all efforts. But you will see that it is 297 CP with Bug Bite and Struggle. And would you believe it? But I got a battle win with Caterpie. I was able to get it done. I sort of was like, aim number one was get the clickbait of I won championship points with Caterpie. Failing that, which was quite likely.
Somewhere.
Unlikely. Failing that, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can just bring it into battle. So, because I'm going to post this out and people are going to ask, like they always do, did you actually use it? Like, come on, man. Did you actually bring Wailmer into battle? And this time I was like, I'm going to be able to say yes. Yes, I brought Caterpie to battle. And so I brought it in. And I had to make some pretty good plays, to be honest with you, to get the win with Caterpie. But it all worked out. It was, one of those scenarios where I was like, okay, it's 6 turns of Ice Shard, 5 turns of Incinerate. I throw the Incinerate, I wait a turn, I then swap to catch the move because he was only 2 away, and it all just worked out. One wrong calculation, Caterpie doesn't get a win that day, but we got a win, so I was pretty happy with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's a good video, honestly. Like, I was surprised how tanky it was.
Yeah.
For something that's under 300 CP. I was like, huh? It could take a move?
Yeah, it took a drill run from Dugong. It's like, what the heck? I don't know. It was pretty sick, I will say. But yeah, I mean, that video is on the PvP Josh channel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that video as well. I sort of, I don't remember where I was going. I remember I was going to be really busy that day. And so I was like, I need to just get a video out. Like I need to rush this. And so I was like, put a 5-minute video together, posted it out, went sick, and then ran off. But pretty happy with the video, to be honest with you. And I think I mentioned this, I don't know if I mentioned it to Debbie or if I said it in a Discord or a stream or something, but it has actually reinvigorated a bit of interest in me in challenges. Because it's like, now I can just bring like meme Pokemon and try and get some videos out of it. I mean, this is sick.
Yeah.
So expect some more spice in the future if you're attending a challenge that I'm at.
Or
to
drop a
say the
comment
least.
for suggestions.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, Shadow Palkia is already taken, so
Mhm,
maybe don't
mhm.
suggest that one. But
Maybe one of the legendaries that are not level 15.
oh man.
Hey, that'll get Gabby
Yeah,
started
right.
going
Well,
on Twitter.
look, rip the band-aid off. In that all of those timed research legendaries that we expected based on history were going to be in the ilk of the Giratina of old. The like, oh, brand new legendaries, level 15 because they're from research. Niantic has released them and they ended up being level 20, which sadly means that we do not get any Great League Cobalion or Virizion or new Genesect drives or anything like that. They're all like poo gone, which is like, well, unfortunate.
Is it all of them like 0%? Like, is it
Yeah,
absolutely zero?
yeah, can't get any of them because they're just like they're raid IVs. So if you haven't heard about people trading them from raids to get them in Great League, then you wouldn't have heard of them. Is pretty much the deal. So
Yeah. Because I think I have a Cobalion that's like in the 1600s, and I was like, oh, maybe that could roll, but okay.
no, unfortunately not. Needed to be that level 15. I think that was one of the ones that was like 100% guaranteed or something maybe. But yeah, alas. So not on this time. It sort of raises the question of whether we're ever going to get like level 15 legendaries again. Like maybe we just don't. Obviously the shadow legendaries have, and maybe I've put a little asterisk on this. Historically, shadow legendaries have also been small enough to fit in Great League, like our Shadow Palkia. But maybe they're going to flip the switch on that, and all of a sudden, when they release Shadow Cobalion, it'll be locked to above 1500. We don't know, but we have reached the point where you can't just assume that Niantic are going to give us something because they gave it to us in the past, unfortunately. So it's a bit sad because I was
You know
definitely
what
pretty
they say
keen.
about the word assume.
Yeah, I've heard this. I've heard the rumors. But yeah, unfortunate. And hey, at least I got like 300 likes on that tweet before it turned out to be irrelevant. So winning.
Everyone was so excited. They're like, yeah, Steve made a good point. Yeah. And then when it comes to the day, oh no.
Yeah, screw that graphic. Man, I spent like
Everybody
an hour on
tweet
that
about
thing.
it.
Ridiculous. What a waste of time. Or just for some Twitter dopamine, but like we'll take it, I guess. So
Here's
that's
a good time to mention Steve's Twitter. So make sure if you haven't already, follow him on Twitter and go like his tweets.
we will never get through a single episode without something of mine being plugged from you. That's a given. I'll take. One of these days, like we're gonna do. Like so far, we've done 40 episodes. We've both been in all of them. At some point, the mold's gonna break, and I'm just gonna bring Yakko on, and we'll just do a solo adventure. And all of a sudden it'll appear. Although I realize that I'm never going to upload that solo because I wouldn't know how to edit it. So, I mean,
So
I could
you
upload a
do
dodgy
it, then
version.
I'll just edit it and then I'll just give it back to you.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Because I'll do it anyway.
Maybe one day we'll think about it.
I'm so soft.
Hey, all for the content, baby. But I think that's really all we have to talk about today. As far as the sort of big points and such. So obviously by the next podcast, we'll have move updates. We'll be into the new season. We'll sort of have an understanding of what the new cups and such are. I mean, that's something we didn't talk about, the Mega Master League thing, but I think everyone's aware of how that went now.
No, my megas.
Yeah, I think you can tell how crushed Debbie and I are that we don't get to play
Aw.
Mega Master League. It's like so hard to be us. Oh,
Oh, wow. All those
man.
XLs I invested into I don't even know which Pokemon. To my Xerneas.
Yeah. Look, I was planning on making a meta simplified video, but I'm glad that I didn't because, well, it would have been even more wasted time on my part. So we're wasting enough time as is at the moment. I'd rather spend my time on useful things like going 3 hours to Sydney to compete with Caterpie. That's
with drawings.
Yeah, with drawings. That's what I'll spend my time on. That was a big day.
Very big day. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess other than that, we do have one more announcement, which is a massive thank you to Anne Emma, who is essentially the first Patreon of the podcast.
See, my plugging eventually worked.
It eventually worked. We mentioned this a few episodes back.
Thanks,
in that
Emma.
we don't have like a Patreon, a podcast Patreon. We were sort of like, well, if you just sort of send it to like one of our Patreons and just message us and tell it's for the podcast, then we'll just put it towards the podcast. But yeah, thanks to Anne Emma for being the first Patreon of the podcast. So shout out to you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Although, can I give you a bit of Anne Emma drama at the moment?
Drama?
Or should I say some spill the poltergeist? Because many people would know that Anne Emma has been talking a lot about running Great League poltergeist in a lot of formats, like Halloween Cup. There was a complaint that I recently received on my 75 unique Pokemon challenge thingo in GBL, where it's like, oh, you didn't run poltergeist. And then I was like, I looked it up on PV Poke, and I found out that you literally can't get a Great League poltergeist at the moment. It is literally impossible. It's like, because they were only in raids. It's another level 20 lock scenario where one level lower, like you can technically get a 000 at level 19.5 would fit in Great League, but you can't even have one at the moment. So, no, as far as I was concerned, that was a major scandal. I was like, wow, you've been talking up this poltergeist the whole time. Not even real. But
I'm sure that will come out. Like what generation?
What, in Halloween in 8 months?
Poltergeist. That's in. Was that Sword and Shield?
I could not possibly tell you, but yeah, it must be because that's like the UK-ish region, right?
UK-ish region. Yeah, I don't know when that. Oh, who knows?
It just feels vibey.
They're going to rehash that anytime soon.
Yeah, it'll
go through
it'll come eventually.
This weekend, and then I'm just like, what else are they going to bring out?
Yeah, well, happy Pokemon Day, I guess.
Oh yes, happy Pokemon Day.
Yeah,
are you gonna be staying up till 1 a.m?
No shot. I'll see you in the morning. I will read it back.
I'll be up. It's 10 p.m. Perth time, so
yeah, much more convenient.
Like EUIC.
Just like EUIC. But well, again, shout out to the Aussies that went. Did really well. Happy to see them competing, and we'll look forward to seeing them in NAIC. And
comments to go through.
I guess. What's that?
Do we have any YouTube comments to go through?
Oh, great point. Sorry, I completely forgot to put that in the agenda. We do have a few YouTube comments, so we'll pull up the last episode. I think that's like the third time that I started to wind down the episode, but
that's all right.
Real ones would see the the amount of time still left in the episode and be like, oh, never mind.
All right. They probably just expect to be cow noises.
Yeah, that's true. People have probably left the podcast by now. But then they'll miss the big G'day Battlers. So we've actually got our Patreon Anne Emma commenting in. Comment for the YouTube algorithm, what's it, for 2 of my favourite Australians. We're still waiting to get ranked up to the 2 favourite, but I guess that Zoe 2 Dots is hard to beat. Fair enough.
Yep, that's okay.
Debbie, we trust always. Claude with charm. I'd get so behind this. Did you mention that in the last episode?
Yeah.
As a possible move update?
Something along the lines of like, how do you make Claude better?
I don't even think that would make it better. I think it would be a nightmare scenario, that's for sure.
Yes.
But also, poltergeist with charm would be cute. Drama.
T,
poltergeist. I love that everyone is going to draw their team sheets. It was sick. More sheets to add to Nautical's Corner, which also very sick. I'd fully commission a drawing of poltergeist from them. Would love to see their take on the teapot. Nautical, you've heard the request, I suppose.
There we go.
And final comment from Anne. Watch me now go back to the previous episode as I'm curious as to what I was talking about with the homework from Deb. Shall report back. No clue. We'll never find out.
I don't even remember us issuing homework.
Yeah, none of it.
Okay.
We're all similarly in the dark. But that is actually the end of the episode. So unless, Debbie, you have some other final comments, we'll run off and look forward to finding out what is in the next meta and such that we will talk about on the next episode.
Yeah, no, that's all. I think just the socials, and yeah, we're all good.
yeah, at G'day Battlers on all the things. Be appreciative of everyone who subscribes on the YouTube, even if you don't listen on the YouTube, because that number going up will help us in the long run. But yeah, other than that, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you in the next one. G'day Battlers. Ba, 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 ba.
Do they have to
Bye.
pay for that one now?
We're expecting you all on the Patreons.
Oh, okay,
Bye.
okay.